In April 1979, a monstrous F4 tornado that spanned 1.5 miles wide ripped through the southern half of Wichita Falls, taking the lives of 58 people and injuring nearly 2,000 others, earning it the infamous nickname of Terrible Tuesday or the Red River Outbreak. Nearly 45 years later, the memory of that day still haunts the victims, leaving some to wonder if it could happen again. The short answer is yes, but we've made large strides in technology that can help us better prepare for a storm of this magnitude. I was fortunate to speak with the survivor of the 1979 tornado, Kim Gardner, who generously invited me into her home to give me her first-hand account.
I climbed up in the sycamore tree, and I looked, and my brain would not process what my eyes were seeing. It didn't, you think of a tornado and like debris around it, but that's not what I saw. I saw like massive black rolling cloud.
Kim was a high schooler in 1979 and says she remembers the tornado like it was yesterday. She was also in the heart of the tornado's path. Kim lived in a neighborhood located just west of the Psych Center Mall where the tornado would earn its F4 rating. She recalled what her home looked like after the tornado had passed.
When you walked out, when people say it looks like a bomb went off, it looked like a bomb went off. Right. The trees were gone.
All of the windows were blown out and the interior of the home was painted with mud. The home next to hers was completely wiped away from its concrete slab. Today, the neighborhood looks like any ordinary neighborhood. However, 44 years ago, the street looked like this. 2x4s turned into toothpicks and homes reduced to loose debris. This is only a handful of the 1,000 homes that were destroyed on this deadly day. In total, the tornado caused $400 million in damages. Using today's currency, that equates to nearly $1.6 billion. While it is unlikely that a storm like this will happen again, it is not impossible. The difference is we now have forecasting technology that helps us alert the public well in advance. To get a better understanding of how far we've come in the past 44 years of forecasting, I traveled to Norman, Oklahoma to spend a day at the National Weather Center with Matthew Elliott, the warning coordination specialist meteorologist at the NOAA Storm Prediction Center. Elliott gave me some insight as to how forecasting looked in 1979.
Forecasters did a lot of hand analysis, handwork, and didn't have access to a lot of the observations and the newer models that you would have these days.
Lack of in-depth computer models and data made it difficult to forecast beyond the next day because they only had weather balloon data to rely on. Forecasting models were a thing, but Elliott describes models at the time as coarse.
Perhaps the biggest, though, is helping improve modeling. And for severe weather, it's improving modeling on the storm scale. So having a coarse model that can, predict precipitation, that's one thing. But for severe weather especially, we really need to understand what's happening on the storm scale.
Forecasting severe weather such as hail and tornadoes falls under this category of mesoscale meteorology, or simpler terms, as Elliott described it, the storm scale. Today, storm scale computer models allow us to see into the finer details of the atmosphere on an hourly basis, allowing us to forecast severe weather with increased confidence. Elliott put it best.
What we were forecasting for day one back in 1979, we can now forecast reliably out to days 3 and 4. So that same skill level that we had on day 1 back in 1979, we can have that same skill on days 3 and day 4 now.
Lots of our advancements in forecasting came with the birth of the internet. Thanks to the evolution of weather models, increased radar coverage, better satellites and observations, we can continue to keep the people of Texoma prepared.